Chris Broussard is joining us now. Broussard, good morning. We should mention all this on the fact that, we're just 2 weeks away, really, from the start of the season. My question to you would be, do the Rockets have to really consider dealing Harden before this situation becomes untenable now?
Well, Jen, if you're asking me, do they have to trade him before the season starts? I would say no. In the words of Kevin Durant, it's too soon, bro. It's too early, all right? You don't know how things are going to play out. You obviously haven't had a lot of communication with James Harden, if any. Okay, so you don't know, is he willing to sit out the entire training camp? Is he willing to sit out until the trade deadline or the entire season? You have to find all of that out first. And then secondly, there's other things that need to happen. See what your team looks like if James Harden's not there. How does John Wall, Boogie Cousins, Christian Wood, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, how do they mesh together and play under Stephen Silas? That may give you a better idea of what you want back in a trade for James Harden. Then what happens in Brooklyn? What if Kyrie Irving gets hurt? We know he's injury prone. What if it doesn't gel and they look bad? Are they now willing to give up more? What if it does gel and they look terrific and look like, you know what, we shouldn't mess with this. We don't need James Harden. What about Philadelphia? What if Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid don't play well under Doc Rivers? Does Simmons become available at the trade deadline? Does Golden State get involved? Like, there's so many other things that could happen that right now you just need to sit tight, grit your teeth, and it's going to be tough, but you need to fight through this and don't give in just yet.
All right, what do you think about the way James mishandling this situation?
Be a professional, and is what I want him to do. And I want to give a little context here. I don't think there's been anyone on national television that has supported James Harden more than me over the last 5 years. I really believe that. I think he's the 26th greatest player in the history of this great league. I think he is somehow underrated amongst the media as far as how hard it is to do what he does. And I'm a guy who has always supported players versus management. I am here to see the players. I am not here to see the owners or the franchises or I am here for the players. So it is almost impossible to get me on management's side. But Harden might have done it. And Harden might also have found himself getting his fellow players on management's side. I'm not a journalist, but I occasionally practice a little journalism. And I knew where I wanted to go with this Harden thing last night. So I called a couple agents, texted a couple players. And guess what? Not a single one of them supported him. Because this isn't how professionals act. One of the quotes that was said to me that I think resonates was, big difference between being a professional athlete and being a professional. That does not mean that every situation the player is right. And Harden has somehow found a way to cross my Rubicon, which is 10 miles further than most.
I agree with that.
Saying this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. To essentially just hold his own personal wildcat strike in the midst of all of this and then to flaunt it on social media is ridiculous. And I don't think, Wildes, he has as much leverage as he thinks. He absolutely can force his way out of Houston. And Broussard, he can talk about the culture in Houston and leak that. The culture in Houston is James Harden. He's the single most empowered player by an organization across the league. But he can force his way out. But he's not going to be able to pick his destination. And so he's playing a dangerous game here. And I am telling you, it is not something where other players across the league are cheering him on. Other players across the league are rolling their eyes at him because it's James Harden once again doing things differently than even the best players in the league themselves do it, Broussard.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nick, for the most part. And here's something you left out as well. The collective bargaining agreement will be up in a couple years, 2022, 23. The owners will take it out on the players for this, for stuff like this. Believe me, the owners always win, but they're going to go harder at the players because of things like this. Now, Brandon made some interesting points, and I don't like at all what Harden's doing. I feel the same way as you, Nick, and what the players and agents are saying. However, there does come a time when, like, if Harden plays out this contract, goes somewhere else, and ultimately wins a championship, he may be at a stage of his career where it doesn't matter anymore. Like, when Gary Payton won his championship in Miami, does that change his legacy at all? You know, he was a role player there. So that's where, and Brandon mentioned 20 years after Harden wins a championship elsewhere, will we be thinking of this holdout? How about 2 years from then? I mean, Anthony Davis, nobody's thinking of the mess that he made in New Orleans while it wasn't quite this bad.
But he never didn't show up for work. You can demand a trade.
Yes, you're right.
But you got to show up for work.
I agree. But I'm saying it still was ugly.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.